Ladies and gentlemen, well, welcome to Meet People, the podcast to the Southwest Meat Association. I can't wait to have these conversations, and we're going to do everything we can to make it entertaining and valuable and a great representation of meeting the people.
Dr. Lucherk, welcome to the... See, now I'm laughing. She's laughing a little bit because I had to say, Dr. Lucherk? She's like, yeah, the doctor. So I already feel like I'm not the smartest person in the room.
Oh, no.
But that's not hard for me to do. I mean, just about any room I go to, I'm not going to be the smartest. So thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And, thanks to a judging contest going on over at Columbia Packing, by the way. High five to Columbia, yes. Amber, Rusty, the group over there, the Ondersek family, for kind of providing their facility and letting you guys come have a contest. By the way, thank you for a meat company. They've let us borrow their conference room to do the interviews in. So Todd, Walter, we appreciate you guys letting us use the venue.
Yeah.
Now we just need to talk about the SMA, and of course this is the Meet People podcast. That's kind of an exploration of the Southwest Meat Association members, associate members, professors, faculty, staff, all these things. And, I don't know, it just kind of begs this question. Could you come up with anything that SMA has done for you?
Man, I can't even count the dollars of scholarship money that they provided either myself or students in my program. I was kind of a career student, so I stayed in for a little bit longer than your normal student.
Did you just love school?
I did. I loved learning, and I loved
getting the free money, the
all
scholarships?
the experiences. Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to get paid to get to do really cool things like meat judging and coach meat judging teams and go do really cool research, and to me, what I think is one of the coolest sciences that you can study in meat science, then yeah, I'm all for it. So SMA absolutely was a huge integral part to me being able to continue on and do a master's and PhD in meat science. I remember SMA convention was always one of my favorite things to do in the summer because I just always felt like a family. Like you go to SMA convention and everybody knows everybody and everybody's excited to be there, and I think that's just goes to show how great of a organization it is. But yeah, I know I've always felt that SMA was a huge part of the reason why I am the way I am today, and the reason why I was able to get those degrees.
So, hey, SMA family, look at it. This is part of why we do what we do. As part of, as business owners or as members of the association, you go spend money in the auction. You get involved in the leadership. You sit on the group of people that kind of define who's going to get the scholarship or what. So, I mean, to me, this is a really cool episode to have. And you said another thing that I didn't really think about, but you're in the position also at this point in your career to say, wow, the SMA helps my students.
Right. That's the cool part now, is that I really pushed all of my students to apply that are in our meat science program, because it's the cool part about the SMA scholarship too is like it may not always go to the best and brightest student, but really to some of those students that maybe are more of your 3.0 students, or but really hardworking kids that work in the meat lab that want to go into the industry. And so I think any student is deserving, that is deserving of the SMA scholarship. I always push to go to the convention too, because then they go and see like, okay, wow, there's not just meat companies, but there's spice companies and packaging companies, and they may not have realized that through maybe their first couple of years of undergrad when they first go to SMA. And so that's usually my highlight too, is after SMA convention, man, they're just on fire for the meat industry. They're on fire to go to work.
You can go get paid to go do this kind of stuff. I mean, it's kind of an interesting, I'm going to make sure this video is working.
Okay.
But that is I think a really cool piece of that convention. And for me, growing up on the ranch and never having a real perspective of the fact that that was the meat business. You know, I just thought it was cowboying and, you know, gathering cattle and this kind of thing. But no, we were in the meat business.
Right.
And then getting into working at Peterson's and getting to go to the convention and seeing like, wow, man, this is the real world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd only really worked for my dad or maybe the hardware store in Comanche and, you know, sweep the floors and stock the shelves. I hadn't got a, you know, introduction to the business world
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that a lot of these plants and companies have. I don't know why I'm doing all the air quotes. Just to look cool, maybe. But so I mean, that's a great illustration or a great kind of insight, I think, for everybody listening to know. You know, these professors, these coaches, these mentors are encouraging kids to come see our industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they get to see too, you're bringing your families to the convention, and so they get to see, okay, this is something that I can do, make a good living, and then, you know, raise my family in a really great environment of, you know, ag and meat science.
Yeah. You kind of gave yourself this moniker of a career student or something like that. I guess we all are career students. We need to be learning all the time. Where'd you come from? Like, how did you? Were you in the meat business prior to going to school? How did you come to the meat business?
Yeah, so my dad was an ag teacher for a while, and so I kind of grew up in 4-H and FFA. And actually, it's kind of funny, you know, my parents would sometimes come for the SMA convention, and they would see Max and Marcia Stauble there, and who they actually in the like 1980s, early 1980s, they sold sausage on a stick and turkey legs at the Houston Stock Show on the weekends for them, because I think Max was their county agent when my dad was down in Baytown teaching. And so I guess kind of our tie goes back to that, but really just grew up in ag and watching my sister, who's 6 years older than me. She was kind of involved in meat judging and at Texas Tech as well as Tarleton. And that's really what got me started was, you know, competing on a high school meat judging team in 4-H. Actually, Drew Cassins, who you talked to, he was a part of our county 4-H. So I remember when Drew was a little kid and I was coaching him in a little 4-H tot, and now he's off and doing great things at Texas A&M. And so it's pretty cool to see kind of the trickle-down effect of, okay, you know, this person in the meat industry had this impact on my sister. You know, for that was Casey Mabry, was her coach, and Randy Hines, and at Tarleton, and then she went on to Texas Tech. And during that time, Jason Gaston and her coached a meat judging team in our county for 4-H. We'd never had one. And
so where'd you come? Like what town? Or
Grandview, Texas.
Grandview,
yep.
Okay.
South of Fort Worth, about 45 miles, and not too far from here. And yeah, we just started a 4-H meat judging program. I went to my first Tarleton State meat judging camp, and we fabbed out, I think it was a pork carcass. And I think I remembered like one retail cut from that whole thing. You know, it was like my first experience in a meat lab, learning anything about meat or meat judging. But I was enamored by it. I just thought it was so cool.
Yeah.
And learning all the different muscle names. So then I had this little book with all the different retail cuts, and would take it to school and study and be the little meat nerd freshman in high school. And yeah, that's what started me off as my career student, was pretty much a Tarleton State meat judging camp.
Well, I mean, you know, high five Tarleton. It's like everybody finds their path in kind of special, unique ways. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I always like to highlight, I mean, I say always, but I think it's a good idea to highlight. Every school has a role, and they have students coming, and they have people, you know, you might, by the way, has West Texas A&M ever won a national championship or championship in the meat judging?
We won our first one in 2023. So I got to WT in January of 2020.
Yeah.
And we got to go to Australia in 2022, and we won that contest. And then we won the Meat Science Quiz Bowl competition in 2020, and then we won meat judging in 23, meat science quiz bowl in 24, and meat science quiz bowl in 2025. So we've done well so far
that's right.
in the
You're
area.
having success.
Yes.
I mention this because, like, just for me and maybe other listeners, you kind of think about A&M, but there's Tarleton, West Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Kansas State, or is it Kansas? Anyways, there's lots of schools.
Yes.
Judging meat, and with these meat science programs and raising up the next generation of business leaders, employees, etc., for the meat industry. So it's really exciting and cool.
Yeah.
And it just highlights that there's a lot of ways to get here.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have great students, and a lot of our students come from, working class families, and they're here at WT to work, to get an education, and also to meat judge. So it's not necessarily, I came here for meat judging. It's a lot of times we find them out of the classroom.
Yeah, you're recruiting them.
And so most of them, they do internships in the summer at different meat companies, and they want to go out and work in the industry. And so I think that's the cool part about what I do is getting to see where they end up and what kind of impact they're having in the industry whenever they finish and graduate and go on to be a big kid.
Sprout wings and fly. I was wondering, I don't know how to parallel it to other things people might relate to if they're not familiar with, livestock judging, meat judging, these kind of things. Is it scholarship like football programs and sports programs?
Somewhat. Yeah,
Yeah.
Especially for certain programs, probably give more scholarships than others. We have some ag scholarships that we give to usually those kind of star students that we expect to be on the wool judging team and the meat judging team and the livestock judging team, because they are going above and beyond.
So you could get a full ride to college as a judger.
Yes.
A livestock judger, meat judger. Wow. See, I really never thought about it like
Yes.
that. So that's exciting.
Right.
I hope some kids are listening to it, some students of Dr. Lucherk's who are like just wondering what she's saying, So now they're listening and they're hearing like, hey, don't forget, tell my little brother or sister or friend that, hey, if you like this, if you like art like Dr. Lucherk and you're the freshman with the little meat cuts, you can go get your school paid for.
Yeah.
And
That's the cool part about meat judging is sometimes people think you've got to be a really good public speaker or something like that, because that's how livestock judging is you give oral reasons. Meat judging is you can be a little nerdy, and that's okay if you're more of a numbers and sense kind of guy or girl, or you're just really good at studying or really studious and hardworking, then we'll teach you how to look at meat.
Is there like a trick to it, or is it just kind of grinding out the knowledge, the training for? It's like I felt like I could pick a good horse just because I liked them. I was just interested in horses, and I could go to some judging without much training, and I'd get pretty close. But I couldn't tell you why, or I didn't know the reason. I was just like, well, that's a good horse. Like I prefer to have that one over that one. So what is meat similar or?
Yeah, I think, you've got to have the right official and really good coaching, but I think a lot of it is, you got to be able to perform under pressure. And so I think a lot of people know how to judge meat, and it's, there's high quality ones and low quality ones, and there's fat ones and there's trim ones, and you can see the red and the white, but are you able to put it pen to paper and make those decisions under a really high pressure situation? And so I think a lot of students crumble under pressure or try to overthink things, especially towards the end. And
think long, think wrong.
Think long, think wrong. Keep it simple, stupid. So
right.
that is kind of the key, because we end up doing this for about a year and a half. So we practice for about a semester, and then we judge from January to November. And during that time, we go to 8 different contests, and there's 8 different times for you to overthink things, and 10 different classes that you can try to make harder than they are instead of just keeping it simple.
Yeah.
The trim ones up and the fat ones last.
Do you have these, you just called the word, but I can't come up with it, like the person like the ultimate judge, the person kind of ahead, just determining what the placings of the meet.
The officials.
The officials.
Yes.
Were they the same all year long? Did they change?
They change. So every contest is different. We have a committee chair. So right now during the Southwestern contest at Columbia, there's Dr. Jeff Sable, who was on your podcast, and he's the chair of the committee, and he's kind of the ramrodder of the 5 committeemen. And then there's one for each class and set of reasons that need to be read. So there's usually some professors that, judge meets or help coordinate programs at other universities. There's people in the industry that judge meets, and you do have to coach a collegiate judging team in order to be an official. So that is one kind of stepping stone that you have to do in order to read the.
Have you ever been an official?
I have, yes. So some years that I wasn't coaching, I got to serve as an official. It's really fun to get back. I think that's the cool part that I think meat judging really taught me. And really, I started learning it in 4-H and FFA, but I think that's the cool part about, tying this back to SMA. Meat judging, Dr. Miller at Texas Tech is where I went to school. He was probably the first person that taught us about giving back. And I was visiting with Dr. Gordon Davis yesterday, and he said, the definition of philanthropy is giving of your, time, talent, or treasure. And so I think that's the cool part about SMA is that you've got guys giving back, treasure, time, talent, all of these things back to students to make their industry better. And I think that's the cool part that meat judging is actually teaching students as well, is that whenever you're done here, you're going to go and coach a 4-H team, or you're going to go and help next year's team, or you're going to go recruit the next, best meat judging kid to WT or to wherever you're at. And so hopefully that just gets more kids excited about meat judging. Or you're going to go give back at your church. You're going to go give back somewhere else. So I think the art of giving back is probably not something that's really easy to teach, but hopefully we're doing that through the meat judging program.
Now, do you have any kids?
I do. I have 2 kids.
Are they going to have to be meat judgers?
I hope so. My husband and I actually met on the Texas Tech livestock judging team. He was a livestock judger. I was a meat judger. I ended up doing livestock, so we'll see if they do meats or livestock or both. But Luca is 4 years old and Lachlan is about close to 9 months old. So we've still got some time. But I need to get Luca started pretty quick, probably. She was in the cooler at about 2 weeks old. I took her to Fort Collins on our first road trip right after I had her to the Denver contest. So
I think a high five's in order for like a mom to have a career and to do a lot of those things, and then you're raising a kid as you're traveling or in a meat cooler at 2 weeks old. It's like so. High five to you for that.
Well, thanks.
Your family and
we've got great grandparents that help me out sometimes. They don't live close to us, obviously, since I'm from here, and
I was wondering.
I live about 5.5 hours, 6 hours away, and my husband's from San Antonio area, Poth.
Poth. See, I'm from Comanche. We just played Poth maybe a couple years ago in football, so that's interesting to hear somebody's from there.
Yes.
And I'm glad you said it like that, because I just said Poth. It's like I wouldn't have got it right.
Yeah, most of the time where I'm at, people think I say Post because we're closer to West Texas, but no, it's we have a great village that comes and helps us whenever we need to. But no, it's the best to be able to have a family and have my meat science family at the same time, and my meat judging kids. So I always said my meat judging kids are like my own, and we treat them like family, and they'll get to help me raise Luca and Lachlan in their downtime whenever they can come over to the house.
It's kind of like any coach. You could just think of across the landscape, the coaches that have kids. Those teams raise those kids a lot, or at least have a big influence on them.
Yes.
I was curious. I'm a Red Raider, and I went there basically because my mom and dad went there, and then I went to Oklahoma State for a graduate degree. What drew you that direction? If I had heard you're from this area, I would have felt like, you get pulled south more often than north and west.
Yeah, it was pretty much me judging. My sister went to Texas Tech after she finished judging at Tarleton. That's when Tarleton was in the national division, and so you could judge at Tarleton and then transfer to Texas Tech and judge a second time. So she went there. Also, Dr. Miller was recruiting pretty hard for me to go to Texas Tech, and so really, Landy going there and then Dr. Miller recruiting me was the main reason why I went up there. My whole family went to Tarleton, and my parents actually grew up in Stephenville, and so Tarleton was a little too close to home, I guess, for me.
Sure. Which I think there's a lot, like, I love Tech. It was a great, like, town. Lubbock was a good town for me. It was kind of a small town kind of attitude, but in a much bigger place. So it worked really good for me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. It was a good family feel, I feel like, whenever we went. I mean, it was much smaller then. I think it's tripled in size since I've been there.
Probably as
There
well.
was, I think, like 1,200 students in the College of Ag back in the early 2000s, whenever I was there, late 2000s. And now there's, I think, 3,300 students in the college, so it's gotten a lot bigger, but good that these programs are growing, but it just changes the dynamic of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a longtime SMA partner, VersaCore Managed Pest Solutions provides commercial-only pest control servicing Texas and surrounding states. VersaCore's customized Audit Pro programs are GFSI compliant and meet the standards of every third-party auditing agency. Our team approach ensures your program is audit ready at all times. Visit us at VersaCore.com for more information and to schedule your complimentary risk assessment.
So y'all live, I guess, in Canyon?
Yes, we live in Canyon, just a couple miles west on Highway 60, headed towards Hereford, and have about 10 acres there. My husband likes to raise show cattle, so we dabble in some steers or heifers or cows kind of in the back that we wash and blow and hang out and try to hopefully teach the girls a little bit of something.
I think this is kind of a good question. I asked it to Drew. I'm hoping I can remember to ask it to everybody. What's your pulse or what's your perspective on kids that come through your program? Do you find that, kids that may have made sausage before, or may have butchered a calf before, or a deer or something, do you find they have an advantage in the program, or is it sometimes one that may not, kind of didn't get raised in a family doing these things, maybe found it through 4-H or FFA in high school, but doesn't have this, growing up in the cooler with mom that's the meats judging kind of coach.
Right.
You got any perspective on that? Or does it just depend on the
It just
individual?
depends on the student. Some of them, I've got one kid, he actually called me today. He's from a few miles away from where I grew up, but he grew up processing his own cattle and deer and everything, and so he was a great meat judge too. And then I've got some that may have never even seen a meat cooler before, never even seen a beef carcass.
You ever had anybody pass it out?
Great Not really
blood.
meat judging, but in certain labs, on the slaughter lab and things like that. Definitely, there's usually one that thinks they're going to be a vet, and then you go out into the slaughter lab, and you're like, yeah, you might want to start finding a new occupation to pursue. But no, I think it's hit or miss. I mean, that's the cool part about meat judging is I've got a lot of students that go into med school, pharmacy school. Some are vets, some lawyers, and so some of them go into the meat industry, but some have other kind of career goals that may be different than the meat industry.
You said a thing there that hit me like a ton of bricks. Lawyers. Mm-hmm. I mean, the meat industry needs lawyers.
Yes.
I mean, we're hiring lawyers. Like lawyers come speak at the convention.
Yes.
So it's just kind of unlimited. Mm-hmm. The places you can go.
Right.
With a good education, with a good work ethic, and skill set for problem solving, that kind of thing, which is what I think judging teaches
Yes.
a kid.
Yeah, for sure. It's I think the biggest thing, and I heard it on Dr. Sable's episode, is like teaching them that they can do something bigger than what they think they can.
Yeah.
You know, like we think we can do this. Well, we can actually reach this potential if we just have a mentor or someone push us and nudge us. And I tell people that all the time, that's like my whole goal in meat judging is kind of pushing students past their limit of what they think is acceptable in terms of what they're able to achieve. And usually after, during meat judging, they, think they're really busy and stuff, and then afterwards I usually have students come say, like, thank you so much for making me do that. They might come, I had a girl come and quit 3 times in my office. I'm like, you're not quitting, just walk back out the door and just keep trucking.
Right.
Now she's getting a PhD in meat science.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy to see like that little Claire Shaw, little, petite girl try to quit meat judging 3 times, and I'm like, no, you're not doing this. And all she needed was a little nudge and a little confidence to see, like, yeah, you can do this. You're awesome.
I mean, it was cool. Like, you look at Dr. Sable now, you look at like lots of kind of mentors, leaders, these people that are a place you're either aspire to go to, or you just kind of look up to them and you think, they just have it all. Well, they didn't always.
No, we all
like Dr.
We all don't have our crap together all the time.
He didn't think he was capable of even going to college.
Right.
And then somebody said, you could do this.
Yes.
Or he just, had the thought, maybe I can. And
right.
Somebody said, yeah, you can. It's just like you're talking with this girl.
Right. We all have that inherently in us that comes and attacks us and says, oh, you can't do this. And I remember for me, it was kind of in the fall of meat judging, and my coach Travis, he told me we were all writing one word that we needed to work on a little piece of wood that we were going to have with us in the contest, kind of something to make us better. And I was like, Travis, I don't know what to write on my on my piece of wood. And he's like, Loni, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss or not.
Yeah, sure.
He's like, you just write badass. Like, you're a badass. And that's all. I didn't know that I was good.
Yeah.
I just needed him to tell me and to have confidence in me. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I walked into the cooler with a completely different mindset.
Isn't that crazy how my daughter is playing basketball, and she's kind of blowing in the wind of her confidence based on, kind of other people. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's, don't dribble. Well, she hears, never do that. You're terrible.
Right.
Instead, it's what's just in this one drill on this one thing.
Right.
It's like, so it's really high five to that mentor of yours, this coach, whatever, said, hey, write badass on there. You're good.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Quit. Like, you don't know that?
Yeah.
Sometimes kids don't know it.
Right.
They just need a parent, a mentor, and sometimes it's even hard for parents, I think, to be that voice, because they almost discredit you as, well, you love me.
Yeah, you're just
going to say that because
you have to.
Really, right, yeah, like, you have to.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I really appreciate you sharing that story, because it tells me a lot about you. It tells me a lot about the industry. It tells me a lot about like what I want people to hear out there, watching on YouTube or listening on whatever podcast platform they're listening to. Work on your confidence. Spend a little time believing in yourself, and you really can't just pretend to that. You have to go implement it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you probably need it to be a doctor.
Yeah, absolutely.
To get through a thesis to get a master's, and a dissertation to get a PhD. Like, all those things require a little belief in yourself.
Absolutely.
And going through a little bit of fear.
A lot, definitely. No, it's a constant battle, I think, of just getting students to believe in themselves and to just participate in something. I think it's so easy to just do the wrong thing and not participate. And that's the great thing about judging, is that it keeps those kids busy.
Yeah.
You get to college and they've been so involved in high school, a lot of them, that we're trying to recruit. They've done 4-H and FFA and volleyball and basketball and UIL. And so then they get to college and they're sitting in their dorm room and just going to class and they're bored. And so if we can, I actually started the wool judging program at WT 2 years ago, because wool judging it's less about learning about wool. Like, wool's not, the greatest industry at the moment, but it's more about teaching them how to be a part of a judging team as a freshman and be away from home and be able to go to class and manage all of this stuff that consumes their time, but also give them that kind of family atmosphere right when they get to WT. Because if you've ever been to Canyon, Texas, it's not the biggest thriving metropolis you've ever seen. There's not just a ton of things to do, which is good for students to not be able to get into a lot of trouble. But
they want trouble.
They'll find it, I'm sure.
Any kid can.
Yeah.
I rodeo, so some of the story you're telling, I think, is really a fun little thread to pull on, because I went to school, I had no clue. I mean, I just signed up for the ag economics degree because that's what Dad did, what I mean? But one piece of advice, or one requirement I felt, at least, whether it really was or not, I don't know, was that I get involved. So then I'd go into the ag economics club, went on the ski trip with those kids, made some friends.
Yeah.
Found out that wasn't really I was kind of more interested in the rodeo, but along the way I wasn't bored, or I was meeting other people. And then next thing I joined the rodeo club. Now I'm kind of finding out. And when I was there, people might know a guy named Trevor Brazil. Well, he was rodeoing at WT. So I was competing against him, another guy named Drum Schneeberger, who was, I forget which school he was going to. But there were some really good rodeo cowboys at WT. And so that's where I started kind of having a disdain for WT. Where I went there kicking my butt.
Sorry about that. I don't have anything to do with it.
There's no apology, really.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, competition is inevitable.
Right.
Or creation. If you're thinking about it like, I'm creating the best version of me. And to test that, you need to be in competition at times. You need to get around other great people. It might be meat judgers, it might be other professors, it might be businesses. But in fact, you won't survive as a business if you can't compete, because they will just eat you like you were just never there.
Yes, yeah, you've got to. I think that's one of the hardest things that I've had to coach as a coach. People that are not inherently competitive, that is really hard to coach competitiveness. Because I was inherently competitive. I'm like, why would you not want to win? Why would you not want to be the best?
We're playing dominoes. We're going to win.
Absolutely. Everything's a competition. So those are the hardest students for me to coach, because they're unlike myself. And I'm like, I always wanted to get 100 on an exam. I always wanted to win. I wanted to win at 42. We're going to go all out. And so that's really difficult. And I don't know that I've mastered coaching those kids yet, but I prefer the ones that are just ready to rock and ready to do whatever it takes to win and work as hard as we have to. But kids are different, and every year is different, so you have to change your coaching mentality a little bit with every different student. And I think that's important, is that you can't coach every kid the same. Even teams like this team is, they're funny, they're cracking jokes all the time, but they're really competitive. And last year's team that I coached was pretty quiet. We could go miles down the road in the van, and no one, say much. And they're very silently competitive. These like to talk crap to each other.
Do you think there's a gender advantage? Do you find that girls have a little better affinity towards some piece of it? Guys, maybe doesn't matter.
I haven't done the stats on that. I'm sure my coach Travis, he's a big stats guy. I bet he probably has done the stats on it, but I don't. I think I have probably the same amount of guys that are very competitive as I do girls. I probably actually have more guys at WT. I don't know. It's probably about even. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think there is an advantage either way. Well, we have a lot more girls, I think, than we used to.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a good.
Yeah.
Partly, I don't even know. Sometimes I think, why do I even bring that stuff up? It's like, does it even matter? Why do you bring it up? Because it really doesn't matter. But sometimes I think it is also maybe just the industry, the meat industry has been male dominated, in fact. So now kind of encouraging girls to come, like, hey, you got a skill set we need. And it is all those things that nobody can actually say exactly what it is, but it's like, you're good at stuff. Well, like, you're better than me at things. And so I think that might be why I even brought it up. It's just in my mind. It's like cool to say, hey, don't be afraid of the meat business, ladies.
Yeah, for me, I never even thought about it as, girls or guys, or even like as in high school or even as an undergrad. I never even thought about the meat industry being a male-dominated field until I probably finished, and then I kind of looked around. I'm like, I guess there are a lot more males at RMC or SMA than there are females, but I don't know. I don't care. Like, I didn't faze me one bit. Didn't think about it. If I think about me judging in academics, Gretchen Mayfie is a great mentor of mine, and this is going to be her last year coaching a meat judging team. But she's probably the longest reigning female coach that there ever has been, and so having those good mentors that you can look up to are important. But I have probably more male mentors than I do female mentors. So to me, it's
difference. High five, Gretchen.
Yes.
I think that's kind of a good landing spot for this plane. That's really cool person there that's been doing it a long time.
Right.
And has been a mentor to you and others. So, hey, Gretchen, congratulations. And everybody out there listening, y'all go check WT out.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Love to have you come to campus.
Yeah, right. Don't be afraid to go to Canyon. It's a pretty place too. I mean,
yes.
You get out there and look around a little bit. It's really cool.
Yes. We'd love to have you. We've got a world-class meat line, so you come and tour with us. And so if you're ever in the area, any SMA members or whoever wants to come, let us know.
Yeah, businesses. Look up Dr. Lucherk. You probably got a student you want to hire.
Yes.
Thanks for coming to the Meat People podcast. Y'all stick around. We'll have another one, or come listen to the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.